Well, I think we're live. So, first off, I'm in a much better mood this week than I was last week. And, the cross guard thing I think is going to work out. I think we're golden on the cross guard. I'm not worried about it. But I want to, at the top of the video, I want to just say that for those of you that didn't know, I do love Cal Jerome from KR Sabers. I think he's awesome. And, I don't want anybody to think that I think bad of Cal, because I don't. But I want to say that right off the bat. Cal is awesome, and the cross guard he made is awesome, and hopefully we'll make it. Yeah, that's the next subject there, Birchie. I lost one of my dogs tonight, so that kind of sucks. We had been separated for quite a while. I hadn't seen him in a while. It's one of the products of my divorce. But Remi was an abused dog that we took in and rescued, and he'd been hit in the snout with a baseball bat, and his snout was broken, and he was a biter. And when we got my current dog, Risky actually cured Remi, and Remi stopped biting. And Remi became a really good dog after that. And when I was losing all the weight that I lost for my Kylo costume, which I need to lose again, Remi was a big part of that loss. Me and Remi and Risky went running every day, 5 miles a day, and I'm gonna miss him. He was a good running partner. He was a good dog, but yeah, it kind of stinks tonight. That was bad news. I got some really good news tonight. On top of that, unfortunately, I can't share the good news yet because it's kind of a private family thing, but it's good news. So I am in a good mood despite all of that mess and loss. So, since the Truth 1777 is here, of course, if you looked really closely, Mike, there was something important in the video screenshot. Bam! There's your new clamp card. It's in there. And there is your new pommel cap. I don't know if you can see that. So that's it. The only thing I have to do is add neopixels, and she is done. And build you a blade. So, Mike, I am having to order more blade stock from the custom saber shop to build your blade because I'm out. I thought I had more 1-inch and trans white, and I do, but only in thick wall. I don't have thin wall. And thick wall blade's cool, but it's heavy. I think you want a thin wall blade in there, so I'll be building a thin wall blade for you. Another big, you know what? I'll show this to you guys. So I'm gonna loosen the clamp because I know some of you guys have seen this saber. We'll go ahead and show her off. This is the Truth 1777's TFA Graflex. There is the chassis, which is weathered. And I'm going to turn it on. There we go.
Close your eyes. Feel it. The light. It's always been there. It will guide you.
It's not the threads, Max. It's the paint on the chassis that's rubbing. It's not the threads. The threads aren't lubed up. So at any rate, this one has clamp activation and clamp aux. It also has red button activation. So let's activate this stuff up. Auxiliary button doesn't like working when the bottom's off. It's awesome. It's a pretty saber. So yeah, it's not the threads. I'll show you. Hang on a minute. It's the actual chassis. The chassis is rubbing on the inside of the hilt. where I painted it. But the threads definitely aren't rubbing. The threads are lubed. I lube all my threads with grease. As a matter of fact, listen to these threads. So this is the new pommel, and I want to show this to Mike anyway. So you can see the lights in the end of the pommel when it's not on. But there's your new pommel with the pommel cap. And the holes are all covered now, so the lights don't shine through. Hey, Cole Weathers. Cole Weathers, thank you very much for tuning in, and thank you very much for all that you have done lately. Thank you, Cole. You're the man. But yeah, Mike, your Graflex, she's all ready to go. Oh, and I'll show you that shine through. Let me put a 1-inch blade in there real quick so we can fire this sucker up. Boing. There's your shine through, Mike, in the glass eye. Full shine through. It's awesome. Cool saber. That is an awesome saber. So we're going to turn it off so the batteries don't die. Yeah, Mike, it's a really nice saber. Probably the nicest TFA I've made, except for my one with a metal chassis in it. Very happy with the outcome of the saber. I hope you will be too. The only thing is on the grip section, the hollowed rivets, I still have not done anything to shove in there to stop the light, but I think you'll see when you have it, that light really doesn't, it's not bothersome, and there's really nothing you can put inside of there to stop the light coming. And it is supposed to be hollowed rivets on TFA, and so it is. But I think this is a beautiful hilt, Mike. That's a far cry from what she was when you sent it to me in a gazillion pieces and we ordered all the parts for it. It's really nice, and the switches and everything work great. Number one. Number two. Hey, Ray. It's good to see everybody. Rich. I hear you, Rich. Number two. And I just talked to the owner of this saber. This is Josh Church. So for those of y'all that don't know, I am in a police bagpipe band. I'm actually the pipe major of the bagpipe band. And our first snare drummer that was in our pipe band, his name is Josh Church. And he's a huge Star Wars fan. He's got a Darth Vader costume. And he wanted me to build him a Darth Vader lightsaber. Hey, Tom, do you have an SD card on a Proppy? Stop seeing the SD card. I have to double check my joints. If it's a 1.5, Rich, double check your ground to negative loop. If it's a 2.2, I would format the SD card and try it again. Never had that happen unless I had a ground fault on a 1.5 on that loop. So, DV6. Y'all know I'm building two DV6s. This is one of them. There's the covers on the DV6. The soundboard is in underneath there. There is the crystal chamber. Let's turn this sucker on. It's got NeoPixel accents here. Of course, the crystals light up and pulse there, as you can see. And let's activate this sucker. Lock up. Deactivate. And the crystal goes back to pulsing on and off. See that? And then the NeoPixel strip goes back to typical Cylon thing here, which is pretty cool. Now this one, of course, it is a Goth chassis. It has a 2.1 millimeter recharge port. Also has an on-off switch. This saber is awesome. This is Josh Church's DV6. The only thing I got to finish up on this one is the blade plug. I've actually already built the blade for it. So the 7/8" blade, which was in this saber on my screenshot on the beginning of this one. Yeah. So that's exactly right, Max. These two crystals are illuminated by an RGB 5mm LED. That's precisely the instructions that I gave you guys on the Megtooth Live. You can see how smoothly it fades in and out. You don't get that with NeoPixels. You can only get that with an RGB LED. That fade right there on that crystal is precisely why I use RGB LEDs, actually crystals. So there's two 5mm RGB LEDs. There's one on each crystal. So there's one on this end and there's one on this end. So there's a lot going on inside this lightsaber. This lightsaber is actually pretty complex for a DV6. This is for Josh Church. I was really hoping to do some more touch-up paint on the chassis, but he's like wanting to pick this thing up tomorrow. So he may pick it up tomorrow. I don't know. But the DV6 is done. Finito. So this is one of them. Now the second one is almost done. It's very close to done. I haven't made any more progress on it than you all saw last week. So it's still in its rough wiring state. And this is the one with the stock chassis, which just has a single crystal in the crystal chamber there. And, you know, the recharge port is here. And then the on-off switch is here. And then the soundboard goes here. And there's a cover that goes over that. And there are NeoPixel accents here and on the other side here, which is crazy. I can't wait to light this Saber up. Also, it has a lit connector inside of it. So this one's going to be a lot of Dimitri stock in it as a DV6. So have a lot going on. Let's make sure I didn't miss any questions. Birchie's on here. Cole, thank you for being here. Same Guinness can from, no. This is a new one. This is a new one. Oh yeah, that's the designated staging area before deployment. Now I want to just say really quick that I'm not building Sabers or anything tonight. I have Guinness usually in celebration, or when I've had a bad day at work. But of course today, so Kin of the Hill, yeah, these chassis I spray paint. I think I've got some chassis here to show you. I initially spray paint them. I'll show you what these Goth chassis look like when I spray paint them. So I have one that's just like Mike's, and I have one for a Saber that I haven't built yet. So this is a Goth chassis for a Saber I haven't built yet. And this one's spray painted. Of course, the outside, hang on, stand by. Ugh, it's stuck. This one's spray painted gold on the outside, and then the inside one is black. I need a screwdriver to pry them out, so stand by. So the inner core, I spray paint these silver. You can see the kill key is still attached in there like it came from Shapeways. And the outside, I've spray painted gold. And then, of course, once the chassis slides in, there you go. Now, I'll do a lot of touch up and accents on, and I'll show you this one. Just give me a minute to pry it out because it's stuck. This one is stuck. Whoa, there it goes, flying across the floor. So this one is actually black, but it's this kind of pewter looking black. It's kind of cool. And then of course the inner sleeve is like this pewter silver that I painted. This is a new color on this one. And then of course I'll do some accent painting on it once it's all done. And just so this color scheme on this Goth chassis, the gold on the outer chassis and the silver on the inner, is the same exact paint job I did on this chassis. So I'll show this to you again. I know it's squeaky. It's the squeaky from the paint. So, after I do the touch-ups and the weathering on the chassis, they look like this. So it's a little bit more extensive than just the plain gold and silver. So to me, it looks realistic. And I know Max thinks my threads are squeaky, but they're not. So you can see the threads aren't even on. It's not the threads that are squeaky, Max. It's the paint on the chassis. These Goth 3D chassis are really, really tight with the inside diameter of the lower hilt. Can't seem to get any help with this question from the forums. Do you know where you can purchase a chassis for the Ultimate Works DV3? Ultimate Works DV3. I do not, Anthony. That is a good question. I haven't seen any chassis for the Ultimate Works DV3, but you might want to try, if you go to a Shapeways store and you go to Goth 3D Design site, he may have something. He does a lot of Ultimate Works chassis, And if he doesn't, if you just measure the inside diameter with, if you just measure the inside diameter with a caliper, that's how you measure inside diameter, is right here. Then you can go on Saber Bay Dark Lord might fit. There you go. You just got an answer from Douglas Redford. But you can always find, somebody makes a chassis that fits it. I guarantee there's always going to be a chassis that fits. So hopefully that got your question answered, Anthony. But yeah, so that kind of, I do spray paint the chassis, King of the Hill. And then I do a lot of touch-ups with model paint, which I've got model paint here behind me, which I use. And does it matter which company you get empty hilts from? No, but I tend to prefer Corbant, 89 Sabers, Solos Hold, the Graflex shop. It just depends on what you're looking for. But I've also done Ultra Sabers, Saber Forge. I've done tons of different brands. It doesn't matter. You just got to find the hilt you want and find something that works in it. The big problem, just like that question Anthony just asked, is where do I get a chassis for that? One of the things that I always think about when I'm installing a Saber is where can I get a chassis for this hilt? Like right now, the next project, big project, I'm probably getting ready to undertake soon, hopefully, is, my Darth Maul from Corbant and the DM1. And I actually found a pretty cool chassis for the DM1 that even solves the button issues. And, each DM1 half is going to have its own separate prophy. So there'll be 2 prophies on board. And, I'm pretty excited to eventually get to build that someday. But that's still probably going to be a ways off. That'll probably be after I move. So next, show you what else I've been doing. So if the true 1777 is still on here, you'll know what this is. This is micoms. This is 20 micom units ready to go. So I have built, soldered all of these. So that's a lot of soldering work all on its own. Of course, the 8-button trigger boards there, and then the soundboard that we use. Yeah. It's raining rainbow wires, Mike. So there you go. There is 20 proppies pretty much ready to roll. All I got to do is put them in the cases and add the hand straps, and they're ready to roll. So it is raining rainbow wires. So yeah, I have definitely built a ton of micoms last weekend. I lived on the soldering bench all weekend long, late into the wee hours of the night. So, if you can't solder, you build a few micoms, you'll be able to solder then, because good Lord, there's a lot of soldering involved there. But yeah, those micoms, I'm hoping to, as soon as I get the cases in, we'll get them shipped out. I also sewed all the hand straps. So one thing you can't see is just off screen over here is my sewing machine. And yeah, Megtooth says sews too. I really wish I had a 3D printer. I saw Max. The only, and I know Birch has got into the 3D printing. The only thing that scares me about 3D printing is like I'm already deep, deep, deep in the underworld and the underbelly with Profi and Profi programming, and I'm not even as deep as Fernando. But wow, you get into 3D printing and you get into, scanning and all that stuff. I mean, that's like a whole nother wormhole you can fall into and never come out of. But I do think 3D printing is pretty cool. I wish I could 3D print my own chassis, but at the same time, Gauss chassis are pretty awesome. I love them. They're a lot of fun to build, a lot of fun to put together. That DB6 was pretty awesome. Ha! She runs the printer. Yeah. Well, you know what the funny thing is Jen's pretty good at that stuff. And maybe someday I can get to the point where I can design the stuff and she can print it. Jen likes doing that stuff. Uh, that would be pretty cool. Once I get my own house and a workshop, Jen really wants to get involved with me and help with, some of this stuff that I'm doing because Lord knows, you know, there's a lot more work out there than I can take on. I mean, people send me messages every day. Can you build my Saber? Can you build my Saber? Can you build my Saber? Can I send my Saber to you? And just one of my customers in Hong Kong, I have so many of his lightsabers here. I'm like, oh my God, no, I can't take anyone's commissions. And then you have, this DV6 that I did for a friend of mine that was in the pipe band with me, who's a Darth Vader guy and loves Star Wars. This is yours, Church, by the way. Church, if you're on board on the stream, this is your DV6, which I showed at the very beginning of the video, which you might have to go back and watch again, but it's a cool saber. And yeah, I mean, there's just so much work that I can't do it all, especially not now. I am still selling, in the process of selling this house. I have one minor project left. Yeah, well, Mike, she was involved in the micom building. She actually helped cut all the wires for me. And I tried to teach her how to sew, but that's not really working so good. So if Jennaru's on here, she can talk about how the sewing thing went. It didn't go so good. So it's still just me sewing the hand straps and soldering. It's just me. And so, by the way, all those micoms and all the soldering I was doing, wow, there was so much fumes going on when I was soldering those micom units. I'm like, I really need a fume hood. And this will probably make Birchie happy. But I actually ordered a fume hood today for solder fumes because I was starting to get headaches. When I'm doing 8 hours or 10 hours of soldering, it was giving me headaches afterwards. And I know it cannot be good for my health breathing in those solder fumes. So I actually got a solder fume evacuation system that I ordered off Amazon today. So really looking forward to that getting here. That's got to be unhealthy to be breathing in that much solder fumes. If you're only building like one lightsaber every 3 months or something, you're not going to be breathing in a lot of fumes. But when you're building those, yeah, that's what I'm worried about, Cole. Uh, definitely had a migraine headache after all that soldering. Do you wear an N95 when you're soldering, Jeff, or do you have an evacuation system? Well, I ordered this solder fume evacuation system, and it's got a flexible hose that comes in like above where you're soldering, and it sucks the fumes away, and it's got a filter box in it. Yeah, I mean, I haven't got into etching yet. I know there's going to be a lot of acid fumes when you're etching. I know you don't want to do that. And when I'm cutting, well, don't watch my cutting videos. I'll get a fine from OSHA. But, I have respirators and stuff. Yeah. I do have the sealant fan that runs, and that helps. But when I'm soldering these micoms, it's like my face is right over the work, and that smoke is just going right in my face. And after about 10 hours of that crap, I have a migraine headache. So I went ahead and invested in that fume evacuator today. So yeah, Ray, I hear you. That was a big thing that concerns me is, breathing in the solder fumes. And I used to solder pretty much predominantly out in my garage, but it's a lot easier to do it here in the house where I have heat in the winter and air conditioning in the summer. Because out there in the garage, sometimes in the summer, I'd be dripping wet with sweat, and I got sweat dripping on what I'm working on, and in the winter, I'm out there freezing cold and shivering. Uh, but yeah, the fumes weren't a big deal in my garage, but they've been a big deal when I'm working here in the house. Yeah, Rich, I know I don't need much, but the actual evacuation system that I bought today actually has a filter box and a hose on it. So you can put the hose like right over where you're soldering, and it's got a fan that sucks in the fumes and it blows it into a filter box and then redistributes the air that way. And I actually bought a couple extra filters for it. but I know I just need to get that smoke from going directly in my face. That cannot be healthy. Hey, Juan Carlos, nerd up and good night. Juan Carlos is like, too late for me. Going to bed. Hasta luego. See ya. That's funny. But yeah, we got a lot of cool stuff happen. Max Max is like, it's morning here. What time is it in Australia? What time is it down under right now, Max? It's like Tuesday morning at like what, 11 o'clock? About noon, something down there. Yeah, Shapeways is expensive. 12 o'clock in Australia on Tuesday. Shapeways is expensive, Dominic. Um, very expensive, especially if you're going to build a metal master. I do have a Goth Mentor all in metal, and that thing was very, very expensive. I think that chassis was almost 1,700 bucks, something like that. Very expensive. Hmm, that's awesome, Rich. Yeah, Dominic. They are expensive, but man, do they look good. Yeah. So, Rich, I think I spent 70 bucks on this fume evacuation system that I bought on Amazon. And when I get it, I'll show it to you. By the way, I got another toy here that I haven't even had a chance to show you guys. I got a DC power supply right here. So no more jinky battery with alligator clips. I actually have a DC power supply now. Hey, Montreal Scott, Michael Dallin. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Hey, Risky. Your brother died tonight, Bubba. It's okay. But when I get the fume evacuator, I'll definitely show it to you guys and let you know what brand it is. And it was about 70 bucks. And hopefully then we can, I'll let you guys know how it works. Enoch Root. Yeah, my workstation gets more and more complex as we go. And I do have a fume evacuator on the way. So I have a DC power supply, and this is my soldering station, hot air rework station. And there's my soldering iron. Bam, is my soldering iron. And, of course, it's got hot air rework as well. And then the DC power supply is right next to it. It's that black box. So it's kind of like all these electric things over here. It's pretty cool. Later, Max, go get lunch. But so one thing I wanted to talk about real quick is what I'm thinking about doing, and I might do it tonight, is I'm going to upload the new OS onto this Saber, which this is my Dark Force custom Sabers Transcendence. And I think I'm going to put OS 4 point whatever it is now on this thing and Fernando's new blades and give all that a whirl. And also, I was going to use SA2CC's button mods with Alex Redmond's mods on that. So it's going to be pretty cool. That's awesome. Oh, and by the way, this is the short blade that I built for Melissa, for Jedi Melissa Padawan on the TRA build. That's her blade. That's for Jedi Melissa Padawan. That's her shorter blade for the TRA charity build going on. Yeah, so new DC power supply, which is cool because like when I'm building blades and I fire it up, I know how many amps the blade is taking. That's pretty awesome. It gives you a readout on the amps that the blade is drawing. And the funny thing is on a 34-inch blade on Prism with a white flash on Clash, it's running about 5.9 amps or close to right on 6 amps. So it's pretty cool being able to read all that. And the funny thing is on a red blade, it's only doing like 2 amps. Oh, I know. It's crazy the amount of tools I got. Someday my tools will be more organized and not so cluttered in. I feel cramped in and cluttered in. At my garage, my workspace, my garage, I had, a pegboard with all my tools on it. But here, all my tools are kind of laying around convenient where I can get hold of them. You can see my multimeters right here. That's my multimeter. These yellow and black boxes contain upcoming Saber builds. They're projects that I'm working on. And, it contains all the chassis and the parts and everything. So those chassis I pulled out of this black box to show you guys were chassis on my next 2 Graflexes that I'm building. So that kind of is how I progress. I keep all my projects in these boxes, and then once they're finished, I keep them in the box until they ship off to the customer. But that's how that works. Dark Lord Chassis, do you have a link? It's going to be Saber Bay on Etsy, Anthony. If you just look up Saber Bay on Etsy, you should find it. Yeah, a 3/4 inch NeoPixel blade is going to be tough, Rich. I actually have a Yoda saber that I'm working on, and it's actually a Bullseye. And I actually bought Dimitri Stock's 7/8 blade holder for that. So I'm doing a 7/8 inch blade for Yoda, and I'm not sure how long. I'm thinking probably about 24, 25 inches. Well, Cole would know, Anthony, about whether Saber Bay is closed or not. So Cole's a good source for that. But Saber Bay on Etsy is where somebody directed to you before. And yeah, they're closed until the 15th. So is he closed until he sells the cross guards, Cole? That's going to be off the hook there. That's going to be like full on off the hook. He's got to gear up for that. He's going to have a busy day when he goes to sell all those cross guards. As will Corbant. Yeah, it's going to be another exciting day here in the United States when Corbant and Justin unleash the cross guards. That's cool, Joey Lawless. I actually sewed my own Kylo Ren costume, and that's what got me into saber building was trying to do a better Kylo saber for my costume because I really wasn't happy with the Black Series that you bought in the stores, and made my Black Series better. And then I made my Black Series insane. So yeah, that's pretty cool. Hey, Church is on the live feed. Did you see the DV6, Josh? You can comment in the there should be a chat box. He's sending me Facebook messages. Like there's a chat box on YouTube. Maybe he doesn't have a YouTube account. Old Church. So let's show Church's DV6 again since he's on there. There it is, Churchy. Let's show that chassis off again. I wanted to do some more touch-up painting on this chassis because I wanted to do some, different colors and stuff on here before Church picked it up. And he's like, I'll pick it up tomorrow. And I'm like, oh, man. So there it is, Church.
White. This part is open. Red. Blue. Purple.
There's the rainbow. Isn't that crazy?
Yellow. Blue.
It's awesome, Church. You'll love it. He can't comment, so he's still messaging me on YouTube. So yeah, on the battery charge thing, I've been putting the Mandalorian thing on all my sabers. So you got the Mandalorian theme on the charging blade, and True 1777. If you're on, oh, you want to see it with a blade? Church is sending me messages on Facebook. He's wanting to see it with a blade in it. So let's do that. He wants to see the DV6 with the blade in it. Here it comes, Church. So let's turn it back on. Cool thing about the DV6 is it's easy to take the bottom of the hilt off and turn the saber on and off. So the blade retention is this bottom screw here. You just pop the blade in there. Ooh, almost took out the cord on the computer. Tighten the blade retention screw here. And then localized lockup. I don't know if that's going to turn out. Maybe you can see the localized lockup behind me. See it in the poster behind me, Church? Right back here. Of course, it's got tip drag. It's awesome, Church. So there, Church got to see the blade in it. Church's wife is making fun of him now. He's not able to comment on YouTube, so he's sending me Facebook messages, and I'm seeing them, because I got Facebook pulled up too. Montreal Scott said, the Vader Saber's sick. I'm working on a more slim version. Also working to build my own style of sound card that will run standard 5mm LED in-hill, as well as Neil Pixel with smooth swing. That's a lot of work, Michael Montreal. Hey, Michael Dallin later. Cool. Yeah, we'll post this video later. It'll be up there for everyone to watch. Hopefully, I don't have any YouTube problems with getting this thing posted. But I want to, thank everybody for watching. But I'm glad Josh Church got to see the DV6 tonight. I'm also glad that the True 1777 got to see his Graflex that's done. So the TFA Graflex is done. And I think the big thing that I want to do is get the new Prop EOS loaded onto my Dark Force Custom Sabers Transcendence hilt and play around with that new OS a lot. So this hilt, I think, is going to be my crash test dummy for the new OS, even though I'm a little late to the party for beta testing. We'll see you, Mike. See you, Michael. Yeah, I'm sorry I had to go on late tonight, but, it'll publish later, so you can watch it later. So thanks for stopping in, Michael. We'll catch you next week. And hopefully next week we'll be a little bit more back to normal and maybe have the second DV6 done. That'd be awesome. But, been a pretty long week. I'm in a lot better mood than I was last week. And I just want to say one thing really quick for you guys that watch every week. Last week I was in kind of a bad mood because of everything that happened at work. In fact, I will say that the crap that happened at work was probably a lot worse than losing out on the cross guards on the KR Sabers thing on the Saber Armory sale. But I think the problem was work on top of losing out on the cross guards kind of had me rather ill last week. So if I was kind of down in the mouth last week or, depressed or whatever, it seemed like I was throwing a temper tantrum. That wasn't my intention. It was just a bad day. To be honest with you, I probably shouldn't have gone live last week, but I was kind of feeling obligated to. And, this week's gone a lot better. And I did get some very, very good news tonight that's very exciting. I just can't share it yet. But I feel really old. That's all I have to say about the news tonight. It makes me feel really old. But it is what it is. But yeah, I made a lot of progress on lightsabers and NeoPixel blades this week. I've also built a very short NeoPixel blade that's around here somewhere. So I have a demo blade, kind of like everyone else does. I've got a short demo blade. Something like that, Anthony, but I can't talk about it. Yeah. So, it was a bad day and it was a good day. I lost one of my dogs. Um, but we got some good news too. So good things are happening for Megtooth Sith. Yeah, my birthday's coming up next month. So what I'm really hoping is all this COVID stuff gets on out of here and things kind of normalize for next month, and I get this house painted and fix the gas tank on my boat. Thanks, Jedi Temple Guard. I appreciate that. It was a tough loss losing Remi, losing the old Remster. He and I were good running partners. You know, Remi's not the first dog I've lost. It's a hard deal every time you lose one. Yeah, I did see that, Rich. That was kind of interesting that Dimitri let him do that, especially after all the hubbub, you know, last weekend. I saw Birch put out a video. I haven't even commented on Birch's video, but I did watch it. So if Birchie's still on, I did catch your video about all the drama on Mother's Day weekend. I just haven't had a chance to comment on it. I was going to try and do that tonight. Hey, thanks, Church. I can't tell you the good news, Church. I'll maybe tell you about it in Messenger when I get off this stream. So the funny thing about those is let's just pull some out, because you know what the funny thing is, Church, I actually have some. Let's see. Oh. So the source of the drama was these. This is the source of the drama. And they come in black too. I have a bunch of them. I bought them from Dimitri. They work good. But, is it proprietary? Jesse says, hey everyone, I'm new to lightsabers. I started late in life. I just bought my first lightsaber. It is a crossguard lightsaber, just waiting for it to arrive. Jesse, did you get the KR crossguard? Oh, Kyberphonics in the house. Hey, Kyberphonics got sound fonts on this thing.
Be careful not to choke on your aspirations.
That's Jesse Kirkbride's father on this. Oh, no. Let's go back one. That's Jesse Kirkbride's father. That's Jesse Kirkbride's father. So if anybody wants the sound font that's on that lightsaber, it's Jesse Kirkbride, Kyberphonics. There he is. He's in the house. Go check out Kyberphonics Sound Fonts on Facebook. It links to his webpage where you can buy all his fonts. And I think, Jesse, is your sale still going on? Your COVID sale? Oh, God. Yeah. Jesse had a COVID sale a couple weeks ago. I don't know if it's still going on or not. But I think it was buy 5 fonts and get a discount. You still got a COVID sale. You're sick when you got a COVID sale going on. But that's cool. That's cool, Jesse. Well, that's cool because I'm getting ready to have to go on there and purchase 2 times the father again for these lightsabers. That's awesome. Sloobs, haha. I bought tubing to do the same thing. I'm afraid to make them my own use now. Oh, Corpus Christi, Texas in the house. Mundo Cabrera. Hey, how close is Corpus Christi to Boca Chica, Mundo Cabrera? I'm a huge SpaceX fan. I've been watching what's going on down there in Boca Chica with massive interest. Jedi Temple guards on the way to buy Kyberphonics stuff right now. Yeah, Kyberphonics has a COVID sale. Well, that's okay because I got to go and buy a couple more copies of Father because Jesse Kirkbride's Father wound up on this one and it's going to be on the other one that I'm building. So I got to buy a couple more copies of it for these sabers before I send them out. Hey, Jesse, quick question while I got you here. So the other fonts.
White.
I've been waiting for
Blue. Red.
Are those yours too? The generic white, blue, red, yellow? Are those your generics that you built so that people could put generics on the sabers in the different colors without buying fonts? Okay, sweet. So most of the fonts on that saber, the white, blue, yellow, red, and all that stuff, and I was pretty sure that those were free source fonts. But both your father and K-Sys Rogue One Vader are on that saber, and of course Crossguard's on the saber. So I got to go, buy more copies of y'all stuff that's on there. But pretty much everything else is the open banks that I've been putting on there with your generic fonts on them. Yep. K-Sith and Kyberphonics are kind of my go-to. And I do love Fonts by Force as well. But my problem with Fonts by Force is he's a Jedi lover. So all his fonts are Jedis. Blah. And all my sabers are like Sith sabers with Imperial logos on them and stuff. Or Darth Vader's saber. Yeah, I like Sith. And, I know Fonts by Force has a couple Sith fonts, but you want Sith fonts, K-Sith and Kyberphonic definitely put out some Sith fonts. So, that's the main reason I love you guys so much. But I like the red sabers. If I had a lightsaber in real life, it would be red. Just because it's funny. Yeah, you can put a breathing loop on a Sith mask. It's not that hard. In fact, with the micom units that I build, we have a Darth Vader breathing loop on the Darth Vader version of the micoms that we throw on there. So you can definitely do that. There's a lot of electronics out there to make that happen. But wow, that's pretty good. So Mundo, you're learning the Profi board. How far along are you? Have you downloaded all the software? The one big thing that's different about the Profi board versus Plector Labs or NEC is, downloading that software in the Arduino scares the crap out of everyone. But I'm going to tell you guys, once you get it and once you learn how to do it and once you plug in your Profi and your computer recognizes it, building a config file is not that hard. Building a config file is just easy. It seems hard when you're first looking at it because it's a bunch of computer mumbo jumbo gobbledygook. But once you figure out how to write a config file, it's easy peasy Japanesey. To me, writing my own config file is easier, especially with Fernando's Blade Style site. Writing my own config, I can do it way quicker than I can modify the SD card and all the fonts on a CFX. Yep, speaker with a card reader in the bell boxes, that works too. Profi has a bit of a curve, but it's really satisfying. Enoch Root says that's true. Been watching a lot of FET 263 and Hexec. Yeah, Aroc 5718. FET 263 is the man. And in fact, if I want to, what I'll do is I'll make sure when I post this video, I'll put FET 263's YouTube channel in the comments in the description box, so you guys have that. But his FET 263's blade style pages are pretty awesome. If you have his pages, writing a config file take you 5 minutes. It's very easy. Ron Davis said it was easy to download and connect. Formatting the SD card was an issue, but use the SD card formatter. Cole Weather says he learned from this channel in Hexec. Thanks a lot, Cole. I try to put a lot of stuff out there to help you guys along the way. Juan Carlos, so the breathing is independent and continuous from the voice. He's talking about Darth Vader's breathing in his belt box. That is certainly wise to do. Jedi Temple Guard, he watched my Profi Jarrus video 4 to 5 times a day. Almost done with his Sun Sentinel. Hardest part, getting the dang wires to let the chassis fit inside. Yes. That's always the hard part, Jedi Temple Guard, is the cram foo. That's always the tough part. Dominic says, when I know my wiring diagram is good to go, I'm dreading getting the Profi set up. Dominic, don't dread it too much. There's a lot of help on open source group on Facebook, and I've got a lot of videos. I know Jeff Birch, XX Sabers, who posted right below you, has some help videos. There's definitely a lot of help on the internet. A lot of help on the internet for these Profis. They are truly amazing. Profis probably aren't as user friendly for the end user as a CFX, but if you can learn how to set one up, Profi and Teensy Sabers are, in my opinion, hands down, just an incredible soundboard. Yeah, every time, even had a little nerd moment, but when I finished wiring up the DV6, and the coolest moment of all is when you finish your wiring and you're like, okay, moment of truth, and you flip that switch and it comes on and you're like, oh boy, and then you fire it. That's the greatest feeling in the world. When you first build a Saber and you throw the spurs to her and she turns on and everything works and you're just like, wow, I did it. It just brings a smile to your face. It wipes away anything bad that's happened to you during the day. And then you put sound fonts by Kyberphonic and K-Sith and all the others on there, and just makes your whole day. There's no better feeling in the world than firing up your own lightsaber that you built. Makes you very happy. Mundo Cabrera, Vet263, been watching quite a bit. Juan Carlos says, are Teensy and Profi the same thing? No, they are not. So this is a Teensy Saber, which is actually 2 boards. So a Teensy Saber has a Teensy 3.2 on the top and the Teensy Saber by Frederick on the bottom. And you actually have to solder these boards together with header pins, which these boards are together. And, if you're going to drive other blades, you have to solder these FETs on the bottom. And basically all your pads are right here. That's it. Pretty much all your pads are right there. There's a couple here and there that you use. But this is a Teensy Saber. This is a Profi. A Profi is just a single layer board. Now you have an SD card and a USB port, but this is an all-in-one soundboard. Whereas Teensy Saber, you had to have Frederick's Teensy Saber board, which is this board on the bottom, and then you had to have a Teensy 3.2, which is this board on top. So the Teensy 3.2 is the brains, and then Frederick's board on the bottom controlled light and sound. So what Frederick did, and Frederick invented the Profi. Good Lord, Birch is on, so we got to call her a Profi. But Frederick invented the Profi, and Frederick also invented Teensy Saber V3. But Frederick invented the Profi to get rid of the Teensy 3.2. So the Profi is basically the modern version of Teensy Saber V3, and you no longer have a stacked board, you have a single layer board. So this is different than this. But Teensy Saber can do everything Profi can do. As a matter of fact, Profi. I do have some, good news on the KR Kylo. We'll discuss that later. But yeah, Profi. The Canadians are in the house, so we better call it Profi. But yeah, basically, Frederick invented both these boards. Frederick invented he didn't invent the Teensy 3.2, but he did invent the Teensy Saber here, that you solder the Teensy 3.2 to, and the Teensy 3.2 plus the Teensy V3 become Teensy Saber. So this is Teensy Saber. This is Profi. But Frederick invented both of these. But this is the modern version of this. So this is the Profi that everybody's talking about. Profi. This is a Profi 1.5. This was my beta board. That's why it's purple. Not many people that have the purple Profis. I do because I was a beta tester. Everybody's going crazy. Wofi. Profi, baby. Default view, LOL. Watching Hex, too. What's the cost difference between Teensy and Profi? So, it's going to be hard to find a Teensy nowadays. They're getting rarer and harder to find. But the Teensy Sabers were actually more expensive because you had two boards to buy. So you had the Teensy 3.2, which they're about 20 bucks. And then you had the Teensy V3 you had to buy, which, they were about 60 bucks. So, you were talking about 80 bucks for this combo versus, you can get these for like 50 bucks, 60 bucks, something like that. So the Profi is actually cheaper than the Teensy Saber. And it's smaller and better. The Profi is an all-in-one thinner. Jaws. What? How do you make that? LOL. I've got a tutorial videos on how to make these Teensy Sabers on my YouTube channel. If you scroll down to Profi and Teensy Saber tutorial videos, I show how to put these together. It's because it's low profile, thus Profi. Or is it Profi because it's prophetic? Oh, Mundo, you're welcome. Juan Carlos was like, great, I'm in a shit show. Definitely looks like a lightsaber chip. It is, Jaws. Yeah, Profi is cheaper than the Crystal Focus as well. If you can find them. I guess the biggest problem with Profis right now in the lightsaber world is there's always a shortage of them. Now I think Cal just ran 1,000 of these, which are going to be coming up on the Saber Armory here shortly. So that'll be a big help. But there's also a US vendor that's getting ready to run the Profis full time. So hopefully we'll have a more of an unlimited supply of Profis, which that'll be good. Yeah, what up, Jaws? Juan Carlos was like, man, what are these Canadians and Americans griping about? XX Sabers on there calling them Profis. I'm turning you to the light side. You keep accidentally saying Profi. I'm just saying Profi because you're on here. I don't want to upset the Canadians, Birchie. Corbant. Yeah, Corbant sells Profis. They do. And actually, Corbant gets them from the Saber Armory. So the Profis that Corbant sells are actually originally made by Cal. Yeah, Cole, the patch store has them. The only thing you would think I work in, yeah, well, Cole, you might as well work in the supply chain. You kind of are the supply chain. He's sensitive. Jeff is sensitive. But I think there's good stuff coming for the Profis. The only thing about the patch store, Cole, is my customer from Hong Kong sent me about 8 patch store Profis, and I had a problem, had that motion chip reboot motion chip error on 2 or 3 of them. Now the rest of them are okay. But that's the only thing I would say about the patch stores. I don't think they were testing their Profis before they sent them out. So that was the big thing about the patch store. Jeff's just trying to delay and keep me on here so I go over my hour time limit, which we're getting close to. We're 59, 21, 22, 23. Time to go. Saber Bay is selling the Crossguard on Wednesday. Yes, they are. And so is Corbant. So everybody's going to get a crack at them here in the US of A. So there is still hope for us to get a Crossguard, and got my fingers crossed and really hoping I can get my hands on one. But we have been going for almost an hour. and we want to get off this thing and get to the rest of my night. And it's been a fun live stream. It's been fun talking with all you guys. Keep positive. Yep, got good news. I am keeping positive. I'm keeping the faith. I'm happy. It's going to be awesome. Yeah, everybody hashtag nerd up. True 1777, your lightsaber's almost done. Just waiting on the blade stock so I can finish your blade. Kyberphonic, we will see you next week. And Jesse Kirkbride's fonts are awesome, by the way, y'all. And Jesse Kirkbride, K-Sys fonts, and Fernando's blades, you can't go wrong on a Profi, or Profi, as Birch calls them. So hashtag nerd up. Everybody be nice to one another. And I'm going to go. Everyone else have a good one. And we will see you all next week. Hopefully we'll do another live stream next week, and maybe we'll have some good news to share. Nerd up, everybody. Peace. Y'all are always in my thoughts and prayers. Thank you for watching. Oh, hey, by the way, if you like my videos, hit the like button, subscribe, notification bell. That way you know when I'm on. And we've had a huge live stream tonight. I haven't been able to keep up with all the questions. I'm going to have to go back and read them later. But thank you, everybody. May the force be with you, or the dark side, as it were.